My name's Steve Doran. I'm just going to share a little bit with you about how I got started in property and ultimately managed to build a multi-million-pound property portfolio which set me financially free and allowed me to live on the strength of my property portfolio alone. The first property strategy that I ever did was buy to let, very vanilla stuff, straightforward, and it did not set me financially free. It built a nice foundation for my wealth, but the reality is that most buy to let landlords don't make enough to leave their main occupation. In fact, the majority of people that are invested in buy to let, 96% of them are not living primarily on their buy to let revenue. I believe the 2021 English Private Landlord Survey said that £17,200 was the average amount of money earned by your buy to let investors in a year, and that's before the mortgage and other expenses, before taxes. So it's not enough to retire on. Now, the first proper property strategy that I did, the first effective one, the first one that did step me towards being financially free, in fact this one replaced my original fire service income, was having a HMO. And a HMO stands for a house of multiple occupation. And what that means is effectively a shared property. So 5 or 6 different people renting separate rooms within the same property has multiple benefits. One of those is the fact that you've got separate revenue streams coming from the same property. One of those, so for example, if you've got one person that moves out, you have a temporary void period, the other tenants are still covering the rent. So it's a really good strategy, creates a nice high cash flow. That was the first really effective property strategy that I did, and that's what I started doing initially when I really got into my property education and got myself coached by an effective property coach. Was I started to build and scale my HMO portfolio. In terms of the biggest property mistakes that I've made, I would probably say it's some of the properties that I sold that I should have kept, and it's also the properties that I didn't buy. They're the ones that I regret. Other than that, I don't think there's major painful mistakes that I've made, but of course we always make little expensive mistakes along the way. As the saying goes, if you think education is expensive, then try ignorance. But I guess I remember looking back now, say 15 years ago, for example, I remember negotiating on a house, and I'll never forget this, and the house was on the market for £150,000. I made an offer of £140,000, they counter offered me with £145,000, and I was adamant that I wasn't going to pay more than £140,000. Now, working out what that would have cost me in terms of the monthly mortgage, it was negligible. But I was just convinced and hell-bent that I needed to get this additional 5,000 off of the asking price. Now, it all seemed good and well at the time, and it never went through. My offer didn't get accepted, they sold to somebody else. Now, I have a constant reminder every time I drive past that house, because that house is currently valued at just over £400,000. So that £5,000 was completely irrelevant in the long-term scheme of the investment now. So the biggest mistake that I ever made is maybe negotiating too hard and not moving ahead with property, or the properties that I didn't buy. They're the ones that I genuinely regret. The best move that I've made in property was investing in myself, getting myself a property education, surrounding myself with property investors, because the reality is if you hang around with 5 broke, miserable, skint, negative people, you're going to end up being the 6th. And if you hang around with 5 wealthy, positive, supportive, ambitious people, you're going to be the 6th. And as soon as I got myself around other people that were investing in property, I got myself a property education, so I had the knowledge that I could use to increase my revenue and get further faster, and I had the support to show me how to implement that knowledge. That's when my property business really, really took off. I don't think that people come out of the womb and they just want to be a property investor. It's not something that, you know, kids might run around and say, I want to be a firefighter or an astronaut. Not many of them run around saying, I want to invest in property and get wealthy through property. I think really what people want with property is what property gives them. And the reason I'm so passionate about it, because I know how it's changed my life, had a positive impact on my life and the lives of those around me. Thanks to property, I've been able to be there for family when they need me, when family's been sick. I've been able to support people that I care about, and I've also been able to give handsomely to charities that are close to my heart, including setting up my own charity, is thanks to the wealth I've managed to create through property investment. And I also ask myself the question, well, if I didn't do this, who's going to miss out? Because a lot of the time what you find is if you don't create wealth, somebody else other than you is going to suffer the negative consequence of that. I.e., if I don't create this level of wealth for myself, then what will my future children miss out on? Maybe their education, maybe their opportunities. If I don't do this, then what will my partner, my parents, my family, my friends, what opportunities would they miss out on as a result of me not getting up, taking action and doing something about this? So for me, it's what it's given me has made me passionate, but it's also the fear of what I could miss out on and what the people around me could miss out on that drives me to get up every day and continue to grow and scale my property business. If I was starting out again now, I could have got a lot further, a lot faster if I would have just listened to others who had been there. I was a little bit stubborn, a little bit ignorant, and I thought I knew best, and I wanted to save a few quid, so I didn't necessarily invest in myself, and I did the minimum in terms of the education when I really first started out, and I did it on my own, and I didn't get the network together, I didn't get the knowledge together, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I went a lot slower than I could have done. If I was starting out again, I really would have built that network sooner, and I would have built that knowledge sooner, and I think I would have made astronomical difference to where I ended up. But I'm not complaining. As the proverb says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the second best time to plant a tree is now. So I've taken that action, I've got myself educated, I've got myself a network, and now I'm thriving and feeling the benefits from it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that's valuable information for you guys. If you want to see more videos about property and how you can get yourself started in property and how you can build your property portfolio and build your wealth and set yourself financially free, then hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. And let's make sure you make the rest of your life the best of your life.